What is up, everybody? My name is Sean. I'm an Austin Yu-Gi-Oh player, and we have been playing a different version of retro Yu-Gi-Oh here in Austin. We call this a progression league. We have 16 players. The gist of it is that we are all opening a bunch of different sets from the earliest sets of Yu-Gi-Oh through Edison format. We started by voting on an initial ban list, starting with the Edison format ban list. We then unbanned all the banned cards, used the traditional format list, if you will, and then voted on our own. The ban list that we decided on was this. Each of these cards would be forbidden at the beginning of our challenge. What you might notice is that Trap Dust Shoot is on here twice. Now, we're all mostly Edison format players, so Trap Dust Shoot was the first thing on the list. All right. The next thing that we did was everyone opened packs. We used YGO Pro Deck to open 24 packs of each of the sets here, Legend of Blue Eyes through Invasion of Chaos. Once everyone did that, they had their choice of one of the four structure decks listed here: Warrior's Triumph, Zombie Madness, Dragon's Roar, and Spellcaster's Judgment. At least 2 of the 16 players chose each of these structure decks, with 8 of the players choosing Warrior's Triumph. Then what we did was we played in 4 rounds of Swiss tournament, and we determined a winner. And we had these considerations baked into the end as kind of balance mechanics. But the gist being, if you didn't do so well in the first tournament, then you had a kind of bounce back mechanism. One being that you get additional votes the next time we vote to ban things, which is in between this tournament and the next tournament, where we'll be opening 7 more sets of Yu-Gi-Oh! And you're going to get to roll a dice in order to do one of these 6 things. One being get an additional pack from a previous set. 2 being get an additional pack from a future set. 3 being getting to choose a card and ban it outright. 4 being to choose your next round 1 opponent in the next tournament. 5 being a free choice of any of those 4, and 6 being nothing. So with that being said, today let's go through some of the gameplay of the more interesting round 1 games. All right, in this game we had on the top, it's going to be Gilasaurus zombies, and on the bottom it's going to be a Warrior Chaos deck. All right, the Gilasaurus zombie player is going to start with a set Spy. Spy was one of the best cards in this format. And then the Warrior player is going to set Witch of the Black Forest and Bottomless. All right, so the zombie player doesn't have a ton of options, so they're going to go for the Spy. They're going to grab a guard, and they're going to attack sadly into the Witch of the Black Forest. The Warrior player is going to follow it up with a Mystic Tomato. They're going to attack over the Gravekeeper Spy. 200 points of damage. And boom, just like that, we've got Dark Dust Spirit coming down, although it's going to get hit with a Bottomless Trap Hole. All right, so then they're going to get their search for their Witch of the Black Forest. We've got more recruiter shenanigans going on, trying to set up some chaos plays, it looks like. All right, with their turn, they draw a Chaos Sorcerer, the one of. Wow. And they just get in there with the Angel. There goes a Call the Haunted. The Call the Haunted's pretty lethal. They could chain that to this Monster Reborn that's just been drawn. All right, we've got a Smashing Ground here, and we've got a Soul Release. All right, and it looks like the Chaos player is going to chain the Call the Haunted to the Soul Release, which I thought was going to happen with the Reborn. But yeah, to avoid the Shining Angel getting banished. Looks like they probably need that in order for, light targets for the Chaos Sorcerer. The zombie player is going to smash Recruiter into Recruiter. It looks like they're playing Royal Magical Library. Maybe not what they thought was going to happen here. The Iron Blacksmith Katetsu is an interesting choice. You may notice that neither Snatch Steal nor Premature Burial was banned on that initial ban list. So I'm guessing that Katetsu is used to tutor those two cards out. There may also be additional cards like Autonomous Action Unit involved. The zombie player is going to go for a Ryu, just sacking the Shining Angel right for that. And boom, it's going to get sock armored. All right, they've drawn a Gearfried off the top. That's a little awkward with this Katetsu. The Gearfried says any equip spell that's equipped to it is destroyed, where the Katetsu, adds equip spells. So it looks like even if there was some kind of buff going on, it would then have to go on the Katetsu, which is easier to kill. A little awkward there. All right, zombie player is going to go for the Chaos Sorcerer to banish. Oh, big push. And the Reborn for the Ryu. Uh-oh. Let's see if a Snatch Steal. Yep, a Snatch Steal is coming next. This is going to be a big punish. All right, and they still haven't even normaled, so then they get to set their spy, which I believe they still have targets for as well. Possibly, right? Up to 3 spies. The thing about this kind of format is that you do have to pull it. It is a sealed format, so it's not a given that everyone has 3 Gravekeeper spies, even though it's a common. But it looks like... Oh, he's got an extra guard. So probably the zombie player here has only pulled 2 copies of spy, is what that means. All right, and then they go for the Snatch Steal to take the Chaos Sorcerer. They're going to banish the Ryu. All right, and here we see the first Gilasaurus of the match. It's not super impactful right here. All right, we get a Snatch Steal of the Chaos Sorcerer, a Snatch Steal right back. And they opt to not banish and instead go for the damage. I think that makes sense, although that may end up in a punish here because the warrior player does have a Chaos Sorcerer of their own. Oh, they first end up going for a Pyramid Turtle into the Zombira in order to grab another Ryu from the deck. Interesting. I see now where the Gilasaurus is coming from. It looks like it's to help assist with some tribute plays. All right, so zombie player is definitely aggressing. But the downside of Snatch Steal is that you're giving your opponent's life points back. All right, let's see what the play is here. It looks like it's going to be an upstart first. It's going to be a Rhoda for an exiled force. All right, the exiled force could then be used to pop the Chaos Sork, which is going to get rid of both the Snatch Steals, and then they're going to follow it up with their own Chaos Sorcerer. They're going to banish the Ryu. But the zombie player draws Creature Swap. Whoa. All right, he doesn't opt to take the extra damage with the Gilasaurus. He instead keeps it. I bet that means he's probably got more tribute plays in his hand. And then the Warrior Chaos player draws Ring of Destruction, a little awkward at 23 with your opponent's Chaos Sorcerer on board. He has to just set Don Zalug and set Ring, hopefully planning to use it on the next monster that's summoned. A Reaper is drawn next. He goes for the Gilasaurus. Oh, he attacks into Don Zalug, which is going to act like a Spirit Reaper and discard the Spirit Reaper at his hand. But then in main phase 2, he's going to use the Chaos Sorcerer's effect to safely banish the card instead of attacking into a set, which could be something like a Sakuretsu Armor. We see a Zombira coming down next. It's going to kill this Gilasaurus. And then he's setting Blast with Chain. This card's pretty interesting. We may have noticed that there was a Gearfried earlier, so the Blast with Chain is definitely to pair with the Gearfried, which cannot be equipped. So once the Blast with Chain goes onto the Gearfried, it's going to destroy itself and then destroy any card on the field. It's pretty strong. The Chaos Sorcerer is going to target the Zombira and banish it. It seems to make sense. It looks like it's going to go through. And then there's going to be what a top deck, a BLS. The card is not banned, but in a sealed format like this, you have to pull an Ultra at a YGO Pro deck, which is definitely hard to do. He opts to keep the BLS in his hand and instead pass, which is bold, but it pays off. Wait, okay, so the BLS was dead, but it pays off because he plays Heavy Storm and he's able to chain blast with chain, targeting the Chaos Sorcerer, which when it's destroyed, it's going to destroy the Chaos Sorcerer. Oh my goodness. What's crazy is if he just attacked into the two back row, he would have gone through. He couldn't have done anything. But how could he have known? I think it was the right play to banish the two. But now this is even further lethal because the Chaos Sorcerer goes to the warrior player's graveyard. What the hell? All right, he's gonna play the BLS and get in there for 30, but then the zombie player instantly draws Smashing Ground. All right, we've got Jar of Greed that's drawing him Mirror Force and Torrential Tribute. Pretty good cards at this point in the game. He's going to follow it up with a Shining Angel off the top that's going to catch this Torrential. He's going to have to set the Mirror Force, and he chooses to set the Blast with Chain as well. An astute play, given that the Heavy Storm is now in the graveyard. All right, he draws Zombira, but it doesn't help him here. He sets the other Blast with Chain. He draws a Gilasaurus. The Gilasaurus is going to come down, and he chooses to take it. I think that makes sense. And he draws a great card for this situation. He draws a Shining Angel, which he can use to smash into the Gilasaurus to then get another card that can attack. Wow, a really unfortunate situation there for the zombie player. And this DD Warrior lady is gonna get to get in there for 1,500, and now we've got a ball game. All right, the zombie player has then drawn Magic Drain, and he has to normal summon Zombira, which is walking into a bunch of trap cards here. He's going to end up going for the damage step double blast with chain, which is going to be too strong for the Zombira, and that is going to do it. Even though he activates the Upstart Goblin, it's still going to do it. All right. And then we can go to game 2. In game 2, it looks like the zombie player is going to go first, and we can maybe see this Gilasaurus do a little bit more. He's going to start us off with a Pyramid Turtle going set. And now we can see that maybe the Katetsu had a little bit more utility. There's a Butterfly Dagger Elma. There's a Royal Magical Library. It's starting to make a little bit more sense, right? There's some equipped synergy going on here, further than just grabbing broken cards like Premature Burial and Snatch Steal. Although grabbing Snatch Steal in the middle of the game ended up being really useful. All right, the zombie player is going to play Swords of Revealing Light and flip both of these face up. No flip effects are relevant at this time. He's going to change the Pyramid Turtle to attack mode. I believe that's a special summon of this Gilasaurus. And he's going to activate Creature Swap, which is going to move the Pyramid Turtle to the other player's field. Ooh, unfortunate. No Butterfly Dagger. The Gilasaurus is going to get caught by this Mirror Force here, though. Unlucky. Having Mirror Force in this format, definitely a huge advantage. All right. The warrior player draws Mystic Tomato. He activates Upstart. He's got the Blast with Chain Gearfried combo in hand. He was so close to having the Royal Magical Library Butterfly Dagger Elma Gearfried combo. Unbelievable. Crazy deck building, high ceiling here out of the Warrior Chaos player. He chooses to go for the safe play of setting Mystic Tomato. That's one turn on Swords. And he activates Soul Release. I see. For a second counter, or third counter on Royal Magical Library to draw an additional card. All right, and he gets Gravekeeper Spy. In a sense, he's rewarded with a dark. Next, he's going to tribute for a Vampire Lord. Vampire Lord was a very common choice this week because it resists a lot of the common cards that remove cards from the field. It's hard to attack over, and things like Sakuretsu Armor and Regeki Break, and then Mirror Force, Torrential, and Dark Hole were all legal. He goes for the kill his own Pyramid Turtle, search for his own Ryu. That solid play that always comes off creature swaps. And the warrior player is going to go for the Don Zalug. They're going to use their exiled force to target the Ryu. It's going to blow it up. He's going to buff his Don Zalug, and he's going to try to chip high enough on the Blast with Chain to see if he can get over this Vampire Lord here. but the zombie player doesn't fall for it, and he just goes ahead and banishes the Donzalug. I don't believe this butterfly dagger goes back to the hand in this instance, but I'm a little shaky on my butterfly dagger rulings at this point because we're operating with Edison format rulings. All right, next, the Vampire Lord is going to get in there for 20. They're going to call traps, and he's going to have to send Jar of Greed to the graveyard. He's going to set his Gravekeeper's Guard so that he can keep his pressure on. All right, looks like that's the end of swords when he has to set Shining Angel. Let's see if the zombie player goes for the Gravekeeper's Guard. He does. He bounces. He plays Spy, changes everything to attack mode, knowing there's no more Mirror Force, and he chooses to get in there, and that's going to be game 2. All right. In game 3, the warrior player is again going to go first. He opens with Magician of Faith, but no spells to really pay off with, right? This My Body is a little bit reactive rather than a proactive card. He goes for the set Donzalug and the set Ring of Destruction. Ooh, and it looks like the zombie player may be walking into the Donzalug again. He goes for the Shining Angel. He attacks with 1400, but the 1500 defense is going to discard a card out of his hand. Oh boy. Unfortunate, it hits the Witch of the Black Forest. Yikes. And he's going to have to pass there. Oh, it's a huge opportunity. All right, an upstart is going to give him a second Zombira. He's going to use the Ring of Destruction here in order to get in there again, it looks like, with this Donzalug. He's going to take that 1400. It's easy stuff. And then, boom, he's going to get an extra discard. Crazy value out of this Donzalug here. We saw plays like this consistently happening with Spirit Reaper in this format, but the Donzalug here was extra hurtful by its ability to inflict damage when it's attacked as well while face down. He chooses to go for the set Magician of Faith, probably just as a bluff, but it looks like when looking at the zombie player's hand here, there's not a whole lot he can do about it. The soul release not helping him out a whole lot. The bottomless pretty dead here. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes ahead and just activates. Yep, he activates the shooting star bow seal. It's going to reduce this Donzalug's attack by 1,000, but allow it to attack directly. A little bit of a trade-off there. It looks like this Ryu is always going to get discarded here by this Donnie Z. He goes for Mystic Tomato. The Ryu gets discarded. It looks like his clock is a little bit shortened, or lengthened rather, but then he's got Mystic Tomato too, and the zombie player has no follow-up. But he draws a Gravekeeper Spy off the top, a good one. The Zombira gets caught with a bottomless, but there's a My Body as a shield set. So for the hefty price of 1,500 life points, he'll be able to get over this Gravekeeper Spy, which is then going to get another monster, and it's going to be a guard. Is that his second copy of Spy? Yep. So we know that the zombie player only has 2 copies of Spy here. This Donzalug is going to get in for 400, and he'll probably, I don't know, switch the tomato to defense mode. Maybe not. No, he opts to just set Blast with Chain. I think that makes sense too. We see a Shining Angel off the top. It looks like he's going to maybe, all right, he just chooses to get rid of the Donzalug outright. It's going to, not that it can rip any more cards out of his hand, but good riddance, I suppose. The warrior players then get a flip. Magician of Faith, grab My Body as a shield, summon a Zombira, attack over the guard. It looks like he doesn't quite have support yet for the Blackluster Soldier, but if anything happens to his board, in particular this Magician of Faith, then he's going to be live with this BLS. He chooses to ram the tomato into the Shining Angel to grab Witch of the Black Forest. Strong card. His next Zombira is going to run over a Shining Angel, where I guess there are no more targets in the deck outside of just the 3 Shining Angels, and he's able to get in there for an extra 300 and the 1100 with the Witch, and it looks like that's going to wrap up this ball game. and he's done it. All right. Thank you very much for enjoying this journey with me. I'll bring you more content about round 2 in the next video. Peace.